Hey, now I've been going for a really long time now, and that is mostly my fault because I've been procrastinating and I've been a bit lackadaisical, but not really in the right headspace to make another video. And also, I kind of just been, worried about like exams and such and such. But yeah, I'm back now, and I have really missed this. So yeah, and I will try to get more videos out to you guys. Probably like what, every day, every 2 days. I'll try to get something out there. So yeah. You know what I mean? I'll try to get something out there every other day. So yeah. Enough talk. Let's get straight into it. The Inhumans, first introduced in Multiverse of Madness, and they were first introduced in the comics in Fantastic Four number 45, December 1965. Crazy how these guys were introduced in a Fantastic Four series, story, and the first Fantastic Four movie that we had is one that takes place in a completely separate universe that does not involve the Inhumans. Now, the Inhumans are essentially genetically modified subhumans created by the Kree, and some of the more prominent members would be Medusa, Lockjaw, and Black Bolt, as well as external members like Crystal, Karnak, Triton, I think is his name, Maximus the Mad, and Gornon, which are all, I have to read up on all those characters right if you want to read it. And it's a pretty interesting group of characters that I quite frankly do not know all too well about. Now, this team I do know a little bit about because these guys are actually in the MCU. On top of being in the MCU, they're the team that deals primarily with horror threats in the Marvel Universe, such as demons, dark gods, and such and such. Now, other than the fact that this team is functionally and fundamentally different than other teams like the Fantastic Four and X-Men, I would like to see how these characters play out on screen. And on top of that, they have a very powerful lineup of characters who are magic based, occult based, or magic and occult adjacent. But for my primary MCU team, I would like to include characters like Doctor Strange, Blade, Moon Knight, Elsa Bloodstone, Werewolf by Night, Man Thing, and maybe Black Knight. I say maybe Black Knight because this is a character that can potentially be introduced in post Secret Wars. And cool enough, they were introduced in Ghost Rider Volume 3, number 31. And maybe in a Ghost Rider project, maybe in a second movie, these guys may form or come together to essentially fight some demonic threats or any dark threats that causing a threat to their current Earth or The Runaways were introduced in July 2003 and written by Brian K. Vaughan. They are centered around a group of six teenagers who discover their parents are a secret cartel of supervillains called the Pride. The most popular members include Nicki Minaj, Kalana Dean, Chase Dean, and so on and so forth. And essentially, they are a group that operate mainly in Los Angeles and California that take down underground crime in said areas. These are a very interesting group of characters because they are not a team based off of legacy heroes. For instance, like Wolverine, Spider Man, or Iron Man, they are their own characters that are essentially working together to form a team. Usually, we see with teams that involve like younger characters, such as the Young Avengers or the Champions, or even we could branch over to DC and say Young Justice. These are prodigy characters, children of characters who are already established heroes in their universe and are a part of a league. But this team is different because they are not a part of a league. They're actually their own characters, which makes it pretty unique. And I feel like these guys can easily just be slipped into the new MCU since it would be a cool way to show okay, well, obviously every part of the Marvel Universe has crime. What and who is dealing with said crime in LA and California? And I feel like this would be a really good time to put them in because they are a new, fresh team of superheroes. The Young Avengers first debuted in comics on February 9, 2005, and they're created by Alan Heinberg with art from Jim Chang. I'm sorry if I butchered his name, I really didn't mean to, I'm pretty sorry. But these guys are without the doubt the most popular group since they consist of Avengers characters, previous Avengers, Avengers adjacent characters, or even prodigies of Avengers. These guys are set up in the MCU already, but they're not technically banded together yet. And if I had to essentially assemble them, these are the characters I would add: Patriot, Wiccan, Speed, Hawkeye, Ms. Marvel, Cassie Lang, Scar, America Chavez, and Vision. And I feel like this lineup would work because it's within the confines of the MCU. An appropriate time for them to assemble would be around Doomsday and Secret Wars, and for them to officially assemble and officially become a team would be in the composite MCU when we have the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers, and other characters running around in the same universe. Tyrone and Tidy, aka Cloak and Dagger. These two characters debuted all the way in 1982 in Spectacular Spider-Man number 64. They're created by Bill Mantalio and Ed Hagen. These two characters are amongst the oldest on this list, and they are a bit different since they aren't exactly a big conventional team like the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Defenders, and such, but they are still a team nonetheless. Now, these two characters, I figured out with my research, the slight amount of research that I did on these guys, is that they have two origins. The origin where they essentially were experimented on with drugs, which is what gave Tidy her light based powers and Tyrone his dark dimension powers. And they also have a mutant origin, essentially, where this drug awakened a mutant gene in them, which is a pretty interesting origin story. And I feel as though if they were to introduce these characters in the MCU, probably the post MCU, a Spider-Man origin story, or Spider-Man movie, my bad, with these characters' origin story being a side character or kind of like maybe an antagonist or appearing in a one-off or maybe even a series again, that would be pretty interesting because they would be building the mutants. Even though I feel like the mutants would already be established in the MCU since the X-Men are going to be the focal point of this new MCU. So this or them getting a mutant origin versus the drug origin, it really doesn't matter which one they do. But I still think it would be pretty cool to see these more obscure characters joining the MCU, since these characters are getting a bit more notoriety due to games like Marvel Rivals, and I do think that they would be a cool addition to the Spider-Man, you know, well, side of the MCU, or even the street tier side, because these are characters we haven't seen in over decades. So it would be pretty cool to see them in a new composite MCU. And I would like to see Marvel try new things. If you stuck along for this long, I just want to thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you guys until next time.